Alright, so I'm incredibly excited for today's video because my shirt. I can't really wear this anymore, can I? I don't know, it's been a crazy week. It's just not the same anymore. I gotta cover up. Hey, what's up everyone, it's me, SpeedSuperSonic, bringing you guys another video. In this video today, we are back talking more about Sonic Movie 3. And not just anything in relation to Sonic Movie 3, because there's no particular news or updates in this video. More so just a discussion piece about a very interesting topic that has arose from leaks or rumors or speculation and that kind of stuff. And that is the simple discussion of Amy and Rouge and their inclusion of Sonic Movie 3. This has been a large discussion when it's come to this movie in general for the longest time. Honestly, it's felt like ever since the Sonic movie started, it's just been kind of like a waiting game to see which character is going to get introduced next. In 2, it was like, is it just going to be Tails? Are they going to do Knuckles? And that's obviously what we got. And then in 3, that's where people were starting to get really crazy. A lot of people were saying that it was too early to do Shadow, and I was like, they're gonna do Shadow. But here we are with 3 that is obviously taking inspiration from Sonic Adventure 2. So that has led a lot of people to speculate and talk about how there's certain characters in that game that probably need to, in their opinion, or at least should be in Movie 3. But what is the likelihood of that? Well, let's discuss it. In their own different, unique ways, Amy and Rouge do play large roles in Sonic Adventure 2. Rouge was introduced in that game alongside Shadow. She's basically his accomplice. Amy, however, has a much smaller role. She's not even a playable character in that game. She really just tags along for some of the story. The biggest thing is that she has a discussion with Shadow that ultimately turns him over to the light side, if you will. And there's been the discussion of, well, 1, are they going to be in the movie? And 2, is it necessary? Do you need it? Now, here's my take, and if you guys have been watching the channel for a while, you would know the take. I believe that you do not need either of these characters. Is there ways that you can make it work? Yes, 100%. If you have the right writing team, which this movie team, the writers, Pat Casey, Josh Miller, have proven that they know what they're doing when it comes to these movies, the scripts, and these characters more specifically, but also being able to balance things, sort of. But then you have the conundrum of, does it make sense to do this in the first place? You have Shadow being introduced. He's going to be a massive character. There's going to be a lot of backstory, character development, all of that stuff. And then you have to look at all of the characters we presently already have. This is called Sonic the Hedgehog 3, and while yes, Shadow's going to play a massive role in this movie, he is still the main character, Sonic. There's so much work you have to do with his character and also Tails and Knuckles. Now there's a chance they might keep those characters static, like Knuckles in particular, after he just had his own TV show. But you also have to remember, whether you guys like it or not, and it's been such a contentious point over the past few weeks, but human characters are a player in these movies too. Tom, Maddie, already established. Then you have Jim Carrey's Dr. Eggman, obviously going to play a massive role. We know that there are a bunch of new human characters being added to the cast that are going to play big roles. Specifically, Christian Ritter, we know, is playing a human named Captain Rockwell. It's not really a matter of, well, this was in the game, so you have to do it in the movie. It's more of like, does it make sense to have them there in the first place so the movie could be the best it could be? If you include Rouge and Amy and you don't handle it the right way, there's a chance this movie is going to get completely cluttered. You're now introducing 2 characters who are going to go on, if this franchise continues like it seems like all of their intention of doing so is, then they're going to play big roles in the future, and you need to give them proper setup and purpose in the story. I've said this a lot, but this movie isn't going to be a one-to-one adaptation of Sonic Adventure 2, so it's not like you need these characters to do it. They're going to take elements. It's going to be very similar to Sonic Adventure 2 in many ways, yes, because they're adapting a character. You know, they have to do some form of adaptation here. But it doesn't mean it's going to be a one-to-one recreation of that game, so you're not going to get every particular scene with every particular character in the movie. Those are some of the main logistical reasons of why I just think that from a filmmaking perspective, there would just be too much going on. I know a lot of people have been going to the obscurity or the niche route when it comes to Amy and Rouge, and I'm not even one to really buy into that completely. I don't think anybody behind the films are scared that these characters are too niche. Yes, they're by no means as popular as a character like Knuckles or Shadow when it comes to secondary characters, but I'm sure they're going to introduce plenty more characters here in the future. I just don't think their roles and what they played in Sonic Adventure 2 are a necessity to be in 3. I think you can very well replace Amy's speech or whatever little situation she had going on with Shadow with Sonic characters that are already in the movies, like a Sonic or a Tails or a Knuckles. Or you can go a completely different method that is more effective. I've said this a lot, and while I think Amy is decent in Sonic Adventure 2 as a character, her really only purpose ultimately in that game is to service another character. She doesn't really have any arc herself or path that she's going down. She would just be there to service Shadow, which I think is kind of pointless pointless when you're writing a character. Like, what does Amy do herself? What does she mean to herself as a character? Not what can she serve to somebody else. I think if they were going to do Amy, that's what they have to do. Find an identity for her beyond the character limbo that character is in right now. Amy right now, as it stands, has almost no identity as a character. I think Sega realized that their old portrayal of her just being a Sonic obsessed weirdo was off-putting and annoying. And I know that's gonna annoy a lot of Sonic fans. You guys are probably gonna get mad at me in the comments, but if you guys watch this channel, you know I'm not the biggest Amy fan. And then updating it, which I do think was necessary to make her more of an independent character and have some kind of inner personality to her, the character's just become kind of bland. Sega, I guess around the time of Boom, came to the decision that they wanted Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles to have Amy in there as well. I do think it's important to have female representation in this franchise. I think we'd be lying to ourselves, as at points it doesn't feel like her presence there is kind of unnecessary. And this all is because it's a character stuck in limbo. And if there's anybody I trust to get the character out of that, it would be Paramount and the writing team behind these movies to help Amy have more of her own identity as a character and a purpose and a unique individuality to her. But I think that's a problem that a lot of the writers are going to run into, and maybe a reason why they aren't going to tackle Amy. And that could very well be why you don't see her pop up in Sonic Movie 3. In terms of Rouge, however, it's kind of a different story. I genuinely don't believe her body plays any role in why they're probably not going to bring her into the film. Once again, I think it's a pacing and character issue. I think Rouge has a lot more story potential than Amy in this movie and could play more of a fun and interesting role. I just really don't see it happening for a lot of reasons. Budget. How many CGI characters can you reasonably put in these movies? Do you need her presence there? Does it really progress the story forward? And that's all this is really about, progressing the story forward. It seems that with the release of the Knuckles show, it seems that all Sonic fans really want at this point is accuracy. They want these to be as similar to the games as possible, with no changes or additions made that can alter the franchise or do something different and unique. And I've seen so many people discouraged and angry that there's the potential that these characters aren't going to pop up and they're going to do something different. And I just really want to say that it's going to be okay. If, or when maybe at this point, Amy and Rouge don't pop up in Sonic Movie 3, because once again, there's been no indication that there's been any talk of them being in this movie. There's been no rumors or leaks or anybody saying that they're going to be in the movie. Once again, from credible sources, not those stupid Twitter people. Actual sources, actual people who know about the state of these movies have said nothing about Amy or Rouge, and there's really no indication that they're going to be in the film. I do think it's overdue for a female Sonic character. We're going into the third movie, and if what I believe is going to happen is going to happen, we're going to be 3 movies in without a female Sonic character. I would say if we get to 4, which is looking likely, that it's going to happen. I think Amy would be the next, character to pop up, maybe Rouge too. There's so many paths, there's so many routes they can take. We'll see if that's what they choose to do. But I do think it's been a long waiting game. It hasn't been too much a discussion, but you've definitely heard murmurs about it and it being a little overdue, and I'd be one to agree with that. I think it'd be cool to see these characters, but I just simply don't see it as a likelihood. And also I just don't see it making sense. In a 4th movie where really you could go anywhere, as there's no real path forward with a particular character that is on the level of a Knuckles or a Shadow. There's so much you can do with different characters as long as you have something that can up the stakes, and with these Sonic movies becoming Avengers level events, I think you're going to see these movies taking a lot more of an original direction and coming up with their own stories and taking less from the video games in particular. And I think that's what you're going to see in Sonic Movie 3 as well. The movie taking inspiration from Sonic Adventure 2, but not point for point, as I don't believe we'll be seeing Amy or Rouge in the film. Now there's of course still the chance, and I want to close this off by saying that if one or both of these characters pop up, that's going to be a big win from the fan base. I'm going to be so happy for everybody. But I'm not going to lie, there is a little bit of nervousness there and hoping that they can pull it off. But I don't know, man. It's just going to be a matter of waiting and seeing. This is where I pass it off to you guys and ask, what do you think? Do you think that we will be seeing Amy or Rouge in Sonic Movie 3? Or do you think it's just completely unlikely at this point? Thank you all so much for watching this video. Feel free to follow my social media links to my Twitter and Instagram in the description below. You can follow those basically my life feature to and all things Sonic the Hedgehog. But most importantly, if you're not subscribed, make sure you're subscribed. This is the #1 destination on YouTube for all things Sonic. Whether it's video games, TV shows, movies, comics, merchandise, and more, we talk about it all. Everyone's saying a Sonic Movie 3 trailer is right around the corner, so of course when we get close to that, you're gonna want to be here for all of that. Sonic games are on the way as well, with Sonic Shadow Generations, mobile stuff. It's gonna be a crazy year. There's still so much on the way. I love you guys so much. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.
Baby, right by the motherfucking seaside, dog. Everything I see, I got a dream. I thought these leaves would go and take me out the dark. I know everything I wanted to far away. Yeah.